Hey, what's up? It's your girl Neek, and we're going to be talking about this T.I. and Tiny case that is being tried for the third time. Now, it's more so T.I. in support of Tiny and her endeavor, but if you look at how the court is going on about this case, they're kind of making it seem like T.I. is culpable, Tiny's culpable. Let me just give you guys the deets. So if you guys are not aware, Tiny was in the group Escape. She is married to T.I., and she also had her own independent reality show called Tiny and Toya. Now, she created the show Tiny and Toya, and in the process of her doing the show Tiny and Toya, she created the OMG Girls. Now, the OMG Girls consist of 4 members in the beginning, and then it later dropped down to 3 members, which is Zonique, her daughter, Beja, and Brianna. Now, they created a vibe and a culture for little girls to aspire to. They had colorful hair, they had the tutus, they had layered clothing, and a lot of girls wanted to be the OMG Girls.
I'm like the biggest fan of OMG's Girls.
Why? Why?
Because they make me inspire and everything. I just, oh my gosh, they just.
You need to think straight.
They just, oh my gosh, they're just always on my mind. I got all the pictures, I got the t-shirt, I got everything of them.
Everything.
Everything.
Why do you love the OMG Girls?
I like their swag, music, and colors. I love their style. It's amazing because they're good influences.
They got a lot of notoriety from being on Tiny's show. And then Tiny also had a joint show with T.I. called T.I. and Tiny, The Family Hustle, where they also continued on their careers on the show. Now, how this suit came about was basically one day Tiny got a text from somebody saying, hey, oh my God, the OMG Girls are in Target. Like, I'm so excited. There's these dolls of the OMG Girls, and they were very happy that they thought that T.I., Tiny, the OMG Girls had created this doll line that was in Target, and they were ecstatic about it. However, Tiny gets the text. She's like, huh? Target? Dolls? What are you talking about? And it caused her to go down the rabbit hole to get to the source of this situation and see what is really going on. Now, when she got to the bottom of it, she found out that MGA, which is the company that created the Bratz dolls and the company that created the OMG dolls, were the ones that created this doll line. She tried to get, or she did reach out to them with a demand letter, basically telling them, listen, it's come to my attention that you have these dolls. It is also very evident, according to her, that the dolls looked like the OMG Girls, and there was some type of brand confusion. She wrote in her demand letter that she would like them to cease the production of these dolls or cut them in on a licensing deal. Now, when she wrote this demand letter, with her attorney, submitted it to them, they did not respond to the letter. They said, what? And they, as in MGA, they said, copy who? Copy what? Oh, we're about to sue you. And that's what they did. They brought forth suit against T.I. and Tiny, and they basically accused them of doing a shakedown. They accused them of trying to get a quick money grab. And that is how this case was birthed and created. Now, as I said, or I don't know if I said already, this has gone on 3 times a charm. Now, this is the 3rd time they are going to trial. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the first and the second trial. Now, I covered both the first and the second trial. And in the first trial, there was a deposition that was showed of a witness. And in the deposition, the witness basically said, listen, the Bratz company, MGA, and the creators of these OMG dolls, They basically accused them of cultural appropriation. They said that they were in so many words. And they were saying that they were ripping off the culture for personal gain in so many words. I'm not saying it verbatim, but it was something along the lines of, y'all ripping off the culture. This is cultural appropriation. And y'all always do this. Like, companies always go in and steal from the underprivileged people. They profit off of it and then don't cut them in on the deal. Again, that's not what was said verbatim, but it was something along the lines of getting to that idea of corporations stealing from underprivileged and profiting and not compensating. And so when that was played before the jury, the MGA company declared or requested a mistrial. It was declared a mistrial because the idea or assertion of cultural appropriation was not supposed to be mentioned. That was something that they were not supposed to be able to get into, even though me as a Black woman and several other Black people feel strongly that that is what happens a lot of times. Now, that was something that was forbidden in the case, and they got declared a mistrial. Now, after that case was declared a mistrial, the only person that was able to present at that time was T.I. and Tiny. They were only able to put on their case, and MGA had not yet put on their case at that time before it went to mistrial. In my opinion, I feel like they were doing an amazing job putting on their case, and I even talked to a juror to get his opinion about what happened. Now, when I talked to this juror, he thought that it was clear as day a ripoff. He thought clear as day that they had stolen their ideas, and he thought clear as day that they were guilty as charged. Now, again, he only got one side of the case, and they had to prove the other side, and he had yet to hear that. I'm going to show you guys a piece of what the juror had to say, and then I'll be back. Okay, so there has just been a mistrial declared in the Tiny and T.I. case, and I am here with one of the jurors who's going to be talking to us today. You were selected as a juror in this case, and tell me what you were thinking. Opening statements where they were basically saying that they didn't think that the OMG girls were a big deal. They didn't think that they were anything to copy. And then you've seen the opening statements of the OMG defense where they showed the presentation of how similar the dolls look to their clothing and things like that.
But I guess the first thing that was very noticeable to me is the jury pool was like 70 or 80 people from which they picked a jury. Not a single Black person on the entire pool. And,
right.
and the one side of this trial is basically all Black, and the other side is not. And I thought, the jury of your peers, of course, it's what, I guess what you got to expect. But I mean,
right.
that to me is like, this is not a good situation. But anyway, the fact that they put OMG dolls on the box, I can't believe it's just a coincidence. I know OMG is used by a lot of people, but I mean, OMG dolls, and they look so much like the OMG girls that I have no doubt whatever that that was deliberate, and it was to confuse people. And the witnesses who gave depositions, they were confused. They really thought these were replicas, in some sense, of the OMG girls, which the other side is saying, oh no, they weren't. I just found that very difficult to believe.
So what did you think when they had the all-white outfit of an older group, and then they had the all-white outfit of the OMG girls, and then they were saying like, oh, well, we could have got inspiration from these people, but the outfit looked exactly like the OMG outfit.
Yeah, I mean, I just didn't believe that. I mean, I just thought these are too similar to be not intentional. That's now, I just at the end here, a few of the jurors, I don't think maybe agreed with me. But I mean, to me, it was not a coincidence that the names were so similar, the outfits were so similar, and of course they're saying, well, exactly what is the image? Is it just the clothes? Is it the layered? Is it the names? To me, you put it all together, I have no doubt that they were trying to take advantage of the OMG girls' popularity. And also, as I just explained to the woman attorney who was on the toy company side, I thought it was a little offensive that she went into all the dirty language. And look, I am as profane as anybody you ever want to meet.
Right.
That's
so
just the way
you're
I
talking
think.
about when, okay, so
She
during the
just said-
trial, she kept attacking Zonique for using the N-word, using profanity and things like that.
And her mother.
Yes.
And what's her, Tiny.
Yes.
She attacked Tiny, and I'm thinking, what are you doing this for? I mean, you're just trying to rile up people's racist feelings against black people by saying this is how they talk and this is what they do, and it's like, what does that have to do with this case? I mean, I just, I wouldn't have held that against her in deciding a final decision, but I just thought,
You felt like it had racist undertones because it was a mainly white jury. So
Absolutely.
you thought that she was trying to appeal to maybe somebody in the jury is racist and this will resonate with them.
That's basically how I felt. So.
Okay, so now that you see what the juror had to say, then it was time for trial number 2. Now, in trial number 2, they got more counsel, I believe, on T.I. and Tiny's side. I believe at the second time around, I seen there was like more attorneys litigating and helping them out. And then it seemed like the counsel for MGA was the same. It was this woman by the name of Jennifer Keller and a guy by the name of Chase who also had did the first trial. Now, in the second trial, it was a lot of offensive things that was being said. There was a lot of character assassinations, and there was a lot of mudslinging that, in my opinion, it made me feel uncomfortable. And some of the undertones of it felt a little, I don't know. It just felt away. Some of the undertones, some of the things that the attorney was saying, she even said the N-word, trying to basically refer to oh, well, didn't you say N-word this? Or trying to state things that they've said or mention lyrics and say certain things. And it was just the way that she delivered certain things. In my opinion, again, it had a certain type of feel to it. Now, the attorney that they had, Chase, I felt like he did an excellent job. I didn't really get those undertones from him. He was very pleasant to me. In passing, he said hi, he spoke. The lady who had the undertones that felt some type of way, she would very much, give your ass to kiss as she's walking through them hallways, okay? That's kind of what it gave. The second trial, they basically was able to put on their entire case in chief. They were able to hear, the jury, that is, was able to hear from MGA, which is the owners of the Bratz dolls and the OMG dolls. And they were also able to hear from T.I. and Tiny. They were also able to hear from the actual designers of the dolls. They also seen that T.I., they claimed that T.I. was not in their mood boards. They said that T.I., Tiny, or the OMG girls was not any part of their inspiration. And they even pointed out, T.I.'s and Tiny's attorneys pointed out, well, isn't that T.I. on this document right here that shows that this chain is the chain that you're trying to put on that doll? And isn't it true that Brianna is in your Pinterest account right here as inspiration? And they were able to show that there were certain elements that they did take from them. However, the way that the dolls company or the designers explained it was, well, we didn't steal from them. If anything, we got inspiration from other people who were popular before them. If I'm remembering correctly, they were saying that they got no inspiration from T.I., Tiny, or the OMG girls, and that their inspiration was from Lady Gaga, who had tweeted out the OMG girls. They didn't get inspiration from the OMG girls, but they did get inspo from Lady Gaga, who they had dolls that look like Lady Gaga, and they alleged that they did get inspo from Beyonce, who they had dolls that looked like Beyonce, which they also had dolls, in my opinion, that looked like the OMG girls. And so I'm not an attorney, I'm not a lawyer, but I didn't see on T.I. and Tiny's side to say them verbatim say, look, they ripped off Beyonce, they ripped off Lady Gaga, and they ripped off us. It was more so like they ripped off the OMG girls, and this was a derivative from that. And with the testimony from the doll makers and everything like that, it was ruled in MGA's favor that they did not infringe on T.I., Tiny, and the OMG girls' likeness. So that was the second trial. Like I said, they end up losing that case. After the case was over, the jurors come out and they're able to speak to whichever side they would like to, or if any at all, or whoever they want to speak to, period. So during the course of a trial, you're not supposed to talk to the jurors. The jurors are not supposed to look at, talk to, or anything like that, discuss the case. But once the case concludes, they're able to talk. So like I do always, like I did the first time there was a mistrial, I was trying to get interviews with who I could about what they thought. The first person that I went up to was the owner of MGA, and I went up to him and I asked him, would he be making a statement to the media? When I asked him, would he be making a statement to the media, he had told me he don't know. He was like, I don't know. You know, he was very pleasant. He was very kind. He was like, I don't know. I haven't made up my mind. I'm thinking about it. So it was kind of like one of those things that was up in the air. Maybe he'll speak, maybe he won't. So then there was also other jurors that was leaving, and I was basically trying to secure an interview with one of the jurors. Now, in the course of me trying to secure an interview with one of the jurors, Isaac Larian's daughter, she kept accusing me of being with T.I. and Tiny. She kept interfering, and the mother kept like giving me dirty looks. And then even the grandmama kept on giving me certain type of looks as well. And they basically interfered with my getting an interview with a juror and completely tainted the whole thing, acting a plum fool. Now, I was so irritated by that because like y'all seen before, the first trial I talked to a juror, no problem. It was just that. This trial, they suddenly showed up and they have a sense of entitlement that is very, 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 it's just, I got a silver spoon. I think the world revolves around my feet. And it just was very nasty disposition that I did not previously get from the father. The father was kind, pleasant, all those things. So after they did that, I'm like, whatever. I'm still here to do my job. I'm still here to get the story. And when the father came down, I attempted to get an interview from him. And the kids, again, same type of fashion times 10 that they were trying to interfere with me talking to the juror. Now they were going full throttle in my face and trying to get me not to talk to the father.
You don't want me in the tape. You can just get Isaac. You don't need me.
Hi. So how did you feel overall? How did you feel like it was going?
Isaac. Don't talk. Isaac. Don't talk.
Oh, okay.
No, I understood. No comment. Thank you. Thanks for covering it.
Don't touch me.
See you next time.
If you want, don't touch me.
CEO.
You guys let him be himself.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
You want to talk? No.
See you next time.
I'm with media. That's who I'm with.
Isaac.
I just was gonna say thank you for covering this case.
That's it. Okay.
That's all I was gonna say to you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're doing your job. Thank you.
Okay. So, yeah. So, you seen that. They got on my last nerve. The father, he was basically trying to tell them that they was wrong. They were out of line. I did a full breakdown of that video on YouTube, and I talked about the entire day, what happened, and how I felt. And I also talked about all of the things that I wasn't really intending on mentioning prior on YouTube, because me, like, I try to keep it cordial on both sides. Like, you know, it's things that I'll think in my head, but sometimes I really don't want to be like saying every single thing that I feel. So I said everything that I feel. After that, I talked about how I felt about the doll makers. I talked about how I felt about this person. I gave the uncut gutter feelings about it, and one of the doll makers called herself feeling some type of way. And she basically confronted me on how I felt about her presentation in the trial. In my opinion, the videos that they showed of her deposition, she came off very ghetto. She came off like a real like ratchet and all that. And for me, I'm like, dang, she's working for this $1 billion company. She has this really great job. But the way that she talked, carried herself, and her mannerisms, it just very much gave hood, ghetto, and ratchet. On top of that, being that I had just had an encounter with the family, I just felt like she was a black woman, and I felt like she was being a puppet of some sorts. And it just, I don't know. I just was really, 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 really irritated by the kids, and probably some of that anger that I had from them. Probably some of it got placed on her in my description on how I felt about her, but I still felt like she looked a fool up there. I commented on that. She jumped on my live and she had her things to say. I had my things to say. And this is basically how a part of that went down. Now, if you want to see the whole thing, you can definitely go to this video and look it up. But she gave very much the same ghetto ratchet behavior when I talked to her on this video that she gave in the videos that I said that's how she acted in the deposition. So let's roll it. I was intrigued to hear your explanation and how you felt. And to me, I can't say for certain that they made you do that, but to me, it came off ratchet. It came off ghetto. And
it came off angry. You're not on the stand having a body of people looking at you, and especially from that side, looking at you with their antagonizing, a lot of TI fanning it, saying thank you, all that stuff under the mic. I mean, I don't know if you were paying attention to all that, but I have a lot of eyes on me, and it's only my voice being spoke, answering the questions from their lawyer. So I was upset, and I answered as best as I could without cursing, because I'm angry. It's not this. Nobody put me to anything. No, nobody, not Isaac, none of my managers, none of that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I spoke up for myself because my doll was in question, and that's Runway Diva. And that's why I was in it, because they were claiming one of my dolls was something that I copied off of them.
Okay. So I understand your point of view, but that wasn't my point of view. From my point of view, I looked at it like we're in a courtroom.
Mm-hmm.
All these white people on the jury,
mm-hmm.
a black woman, and they already look at us some type of way. They already judging us the moment that we come in the room. And when you got on the stand, I felt like it was extreme. But
well, guess what? This whole trial was extreme.
Mm-hmm. So, in your opinion, nothing was copied from them at all?
In my knowledge, full knowledge, nothing was copied from them at all. That's why the jury said that my testimony and Blanche's was compelling. It is what made the case the way it was, because the designers, myself and Blanche, told the truth.
Okay. So
I got to offer you.
Okay, from my understanding, from me looking at it, it did not seem truthful, being that both of the people and the inspiration that you guys had was Lady Gaga and Beyonce, and both of those designers called them out And you followed T.I. and Tiny, and they were on your design documents.
Actually, I don't follow T.I., never have. Had to go through my Instagram to see who I follow. He's not one that I ever followed. I don't remember. I never deleted him, so I never followed him. But I did follow Tiny, and I did testify about that.
Right. And when you testified that she came down your feed, and she was down your feed so much that you saw her more than you saw your family.
Yes. It wasn't just her. There were a few celebrities that I stopped following because they were continuously in my news feed. Now, I didn't see so much of Harris anymore because she was linked, as the lawyer did say, that she was linked to her account. But since I cut her off, I didn't see Harris anymore. I hadn't seen her in almost about 2 years.
Okay. And then you still followed their daughter on Instagram.
Like, yes, she's still there. I never went through and tried to unfollow her because she never came through my news feed like that. And when I let go of Tiny, I didn't see any more of Harris's account. And still happened.
So for me, just on the outside looking in, when I'm listening to that, I'm like, how can you say that you have no inspiration from them? You didn't copy anything from them.
You know how I'm from Los Angeles, California, specifically South Central. Born and raised. Went to college here, high school here, junior high here, and worked all 3 majors, Jazz Pacific, Mattel, and MGA, all in Los Angeles. There is texture here. There is culture here. I don't need to look for it in Atlanta to find myself. I have designed hundreds of dolls, sweetie. Hundreds. I've been a designer since 2001.
Correct. And I think that that's amazing that you have done all these dolls. However, a lot of the dolls that you guys created are copies of celebrities.
They're not copies of celebrities. You will never find the doll with the same hairstyle. You will never find the doll with the exact same hair color. You'll never find a doll with the exact same outfit as any celebrity. We don't copy.
But the Beyonce doll that is inspired...
There is no Beyonce doll. The doll that I saw you put up, which was Boss Lady, Big Boss. I didn't do that doll, but Boss, she has zebra striped pants, a copper, like alligator print coat. Is it because her hair is brassy brown with some medium blonde highlights that reminds you of Beyonce? But Beyonce is not the only one who wears her hair like that. But that's the icon that you think of. And that's because she's at the top. But she's not the only one who wears that look, who has that style.
But Beyonce was on your mood board for the doll.
Beyonce was on my mood board simply because she had that was a whole bling mood board. Everything about that was bling because the little doll it came from was Bling Queen. And I made her bigger sister Runway Diva. If you looked at everybody on that board, which was Cardi B, who had diamonds all over her face, all around her head, that was from a magazine cover. The Beyonce.
All right, so that was my conversation with her. She was very much, like I said, she gave a certain type of energy that I felt was unbecoming of Black people. Now, I have my moments where I talk loud. I can get ghetto, I can get hood, I can get ratchet, but I feel like it's a time and place for everything. And I just didn't think that when she was testifying that was the time or the place. I actually wanted to hear from her and hear how she got into that position. And I admired the fact that she worked for this company that was $1 billion company, and she had the ability to make and create these dolls. But her attitude, like I said, it was unbecoming. I didn't like it. I didn't F with it. And if you guys want to see the whole video on that, you can definitely go to my channel. But despite what I felt, the jury sided with the doll makers. They sided with Isaac Larian, and they decided that there was no copyright infringement on T.I. and Tiny's behalf. Me personally, I think that it has to do with, number one, I don't believe that it was a jury of their peers. There was nobody Black on the jury, and there was mainly an older demographic. Like, majority of the people were like 60 and up from my memory. And I don't feel like just race defines you as a jury of your peers, but I think age is a factor as well. And being that there was so many people that were a lot older, I think that played and weighed heavy on the decision, in my opinion, as well. And they ultimately ended up losing the second trial. Now, let's move on to the third trial and how a third trial came about. Now, there was some case that went to the Supreme Court that it was a whiskey. It had something to do with the company Jack Daniels. Okay, so basically what happened was there was a case that Jack Daniels took to the Supreme Court, and they won a huge victory against a toy company for dogs that had a squishy toy that similarly looked like their bottle. Now, because this win came after Tiny and T.I. lost, they were able to use this Supreme Court case to then in turn get another trial. So last year, they lost to MGA May 27th, 2023. Now, Jack Daniels won in the Supreme Court about their likeness in June of 2023. So just a couple weeks after they lost, there was this case that won, and they were able, like I said, to use this case to get a third trial and set aside the loss that they had so that they can go on try this thing again. So now we are here at the third trial, and this is their third time litigating the case. Now, I went to the opening statements and the first day of trial, and I was able to see that there was a lot more tighter ship with this case. There was new counsel for MGA, and there was the same or similar counsel for T.I. and Tiny's side. Now, what I was able to see was they really worked on their demonstratives, which is their exhibits, and they really were clear, cut, and concise. Now, the demonstratives or the exhibits for MGA were also very well executed and put together. Now, even though I had a mix-up or a misunderstanding with MGA and their company's children, that was very disrespectful, rude, and I can't say that they are, but they gave very much that, in my opinion, even though I do not favor the children of the company because they were very rude, came in my face, and just all kind of extra stuff on the last trial. That does not affect my ability to tell the truth on both sides. Now, even like I said, even though they me off, I can still keep it real at the end of the day as it pertains to this trial. And what I witnessed was the attorney that they have now, he came in swinging. Now, he came in the similar way, and I won't say with those certain undertones because we haven't got to that part yet. I don't know if he will repeat those same undertones as the previous counsel, but he came in swinging. He came in swinging. He came in making accusations. He came in saying that they manipulated their imagery and they, putting it on together. And so far, he seems to be doing, in my opinion, better than the first counsel that won the case. So I did a video with Megan Cunith, and she basically told me what she thought about it. Now, her views and opinions are not my views and opinions, so don't think that what I feel or what I think or how I feel about somebody is how she feels about them or her views or anything like that. She's her own person. I'm my own person. I feel like certain things are certain things, but that doesn't mean that that's how she feels. So let me play for you guys the conversation that I had with Megan Cunith, and then I'll be back. All right, so hey, what's up? It's your girl Nique, and I am here with Megan. And today is day one of the T.I. and Tiny OMG Dolls Take 3. Now, this is the third time that they are trying this case, and we are here to see what happens. Now, Megan, what did you think about day one?
I'm
I thought it kind of went how we expected it to go, and I can tell in the opening statements that the attorneys have worked on their cases. Like the case is refined and tighter. Like they're really going for it this time. You can tell.
And interestingly enough, I thought that the openings were pretty good. I thought that each side is going to be putting up a strong fight. The counsel that they have now, like immediately once he started talking, I was like, oh, okay, he's coming out swinging and making accusations and not caring about it. Now, what I realized about T.I. and Tiny's counsel, they have the same counsel from last time, but what I noticed is, like Megan said, he made his case tighter, he was more concise, and he was very clear on what he was claiming and asserting in this trial. And I think that overall they both have two amazing counsels, and it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. Another thing that I noticed is this time around there is a more youthful jury. Now, the last time that this case was tried, it was a bunch more older jurors. So what did you think about that this go round?
Yeah, it seemed a little bit younger. There weren't as many people in the jury pool who recognized T.I. and Tiny, but there still were a few. I think they got off the jury. I don't think the women that we were hearing from were picked for the jury. But yeah, it's more. You'd almost think it was a jury out of L.A. than Orange County. We get that. We're getting that more here down in Orange County sometimes.
Yeah, like anybody who mentioned that they knew who T.I. was, they were off were off the case. And then there was this one juror who said that she had a strong affinity against large corporations, and she felt like they kind of swindled their way around. She was off the case. Yeah. So now the case is a lot tighter with the jurors. There wasn't anybody left that knew T.I. I noticed that each person who said that they knew T.I. or they knew their music, it seemed like they got all of them off of the case. And it seems like the people who are left on, they didn't have opinion yay or nay. What did you feel about the claims this go round? I mean, it's like the same, but what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, they really set it up for the testimony. I mean, how's the testimony going to come in? And I think the biggest problem for T.I. and Tiny is the market confusion, because the people that they have who are going to come in and testify about, you know, I bought this thinking this was an OMG girl, are like lay witnesses, people who responded to social media posts from Tiny talking about the similarities between the dolls, whereas MGA has an expert who did a study about market confusion, and they have to show that there is a likelihood of people, just random people in America, being confused by these dolls and thinking that they're the OMG girls. And the MGA in the last trial, the expert was saying that there's 0% chance of confusion in the market. And T.I. and Tiny actually don't even have an expert who's going to get up and testify about anything like that. They're only witnesses for market confusion are the consumers who were confused. So I think that could be a problem for them moving forward.
Okay, yeah. So what she's talking about is a survey that basically went through and it took supposedly random consumers. It didn't really, from what I remember last time, it didn't specify like what their race were, what their it didn't like specify certain things, but it was supposed to be like a random survey, and they posed like general questions like, does this remind you of the OMG girls, or does this remind you what does this phrase remind you of? It was like very like basic. So they did have that, and that was statistics that they used. To me, I felt like the statistics were a little biased, but somebody who isn't familiar with the brand, they're gonna think it might be legit, you know. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
I think one thing this reminded me of today was when the trial's all over, I gotta try to get a copy of T.I.'s deposition video, see if they'll release that to us and we can get it out on the internet, because the video of him that they like to play is pretty funny.
Yeah, immediately when they play, so it's basically this video where they were asking T.I. about like the trade dress and like the clothes and how old the girls are, and then T.I. was like being silly and stuff like that, and he wasn't really taking it serious. I think, what do you think that has what effect do you feel like those videos have on the jury?
I mean, it kind of, they're trying to give the impression that, you know, T.I. wasn't taking this seriously and they filed this $100 million lawsuit, but they're just kind of acting like it's a joke. So it'll be interesting to see if that actually like plays out. I mean, it's hard to know right now, like how the jury would see that, but he can kind of make up for that himself in his own testimony, because he's testified in the other trials, and I would expect to see him on the stand here.
Oh, okay. So that's pretty much day one. It wasn't really a lot that happened. Basically, they selected a jury, seated a jury. I believe it is 8 people on the jury, and they only needed 6. I believe I heard them saying like, oh, we only need 6, but they got 8 on the jury. And it's going to be interesting this go around because, like both said, the cases have been tightened up. The exhibits that they're using are way better than the last time, clear examples and things like that. So we'll keep you updated on this third time's a charm.
Yep.
Is there anything else you want to say in closing?
No, but keep following the stuff. We'll be here following it. So verdict time will be interesting.
All right. All right, y'all. So that's all for this video. You guys let me know what you think about it. I will keep you guys up to date and let you guys know what's it giving, what I think. And I'm going to give, like I said, my honest opinion. If I feel like there is certain parts that are strong here, there's certain parts that are strong there, I'm going to keep it real regardless. I'm going to continue to cover this trial. I'm going to tell you guys the real, how I feel about it, and let you guys know what happens. All right, y'all.